Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third session of the forum. The session title is Maintenance Indicators at a Level for Maintenance and Reliability Development, and it will be moderated by Prof. Mufid Samirai, Senior Advisor to Sharjah Research Academy and OMAINTEC Board Member.
Thank you. Yes, thank you all. It's a pleasure to moderate this session with such distinguished speakers. First of all, I'd like to thank OMAINTEC, of course, Dr. Fauzan, President, and Dr. Zuhair. Also, I'd like to thank IMA and a lot of the board members are here. And we should not forget ExiCon. Without them, we would not been able to run this session. I would like to start quickly because time is short and we have a lot of things to see and our distinguished speakers. We'll start first with our first speaker, Mr. Tom Svantesson, who is the Managing Director of TSMC, Production and Maintenance Consultant. He is a national and international figure and has contribution to some of the codes, specifications, and in developing a lot of the criteria in this field. Please, Tom, you have 20 minutes. If you could, thank you for giving us your time. Can you start? Yes. You can share.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation to AMI and to OMAINTEC for giving me this opportunity to share my experience with indicators and benchmarking. We have a short time slot today, so if there's any supplementary questions or comments that you would like me to engage in, I will of course be available after the session, or you're more than free to send me an email. I will jump into to the definitions, which is my first part of this presentation, and we have to talk about indicators and benchmarks. And in order to get a uniform definitions, I have picked this diesel engine, and I appreciate that most of us have an engineering background, and on that particular unit we have a technical indicator, which in this case could be the lube oil temperature or lube oil pressure. This is an indicator that gives us an impression of the process. In this case, the lube oil process is in control. It has a gauge, and this technical indicator is similar to the gauge, which tells us the good performance. It could have a value, what we call a best-in-class value, which should be between X and I, which gives us an impression of if we are in control. And also we could have a benchmark, which is a good value for that particular lube oil temperature or lube oil pressure. And the same applies for our maintenance and reliability processes. This is not a technical process as from diesel engine, but it's a organizational indicator which measure the performance of our maintenance business. I have quoted the definitions from the various standards, EN 15341, which describes a indicator. And some of these indicators are considered to be very important. We call them key performance indicators. And I don't know why, but all indicators tend to be key performance indicators. So in the key performance indicator is the device that gives us the measurement, and a benchmark is a value which is measured by the indicator and which should aim for. something is also called a best value or top of the best performance value. And for some of the indicators, we have what we call best in class value, which is a range where it's not clear to define a specific benchmark. So knowing the difference between the indicator and the benchmark, I will take the liberty to move on. And before we are going into indicators and benchmarking and performance measurement, we need to have the foundations right. In this case, I have used a pyramid where the preconditions to do a proper comparison is that we have a common understanding of the definitions. That means that we all have a common definition of what's preventive maintenance, what's condition maintenance, and so on. And having that understanding, we need to have a common and uniform collection of the data. So we are all putting our work orders.
Sorry, Tom. Yes, we can't see the presentation.
You can't see the
share it?
Yes.
Yes, can you help us? We cannot see the presentation. We have some comments from the.
Are you able to see it now?
No, Tom, you can't share your presentation.
You have to share it.
Yes.
No. Yeah. Yes.
Make
Yes.
it full screen, please.
Full screen. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Are you able to see it now? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No,
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the confusions. We need to have a common understanding, and then we need to have the common and uniform collection of the data. And then we can pick some of the KPIs. We can pick some from the KPIs from the SMRP metrics, which is the North American Maintenance Society. We can pick from the European standard 15341, and there will be a document called GLOMI, which is the communality of these two systems, the SMRP and the EN. And then we are at the top of the pyramid. We should be able to perform benchmark, and the most important one, that is to identify gaps, identify where my performance is lagging behind or where I have a opportunity to improve my maintenance performance by getting to the same level as the benchmarks or the best in class. I will see if I can share the screen once again. Is it?
Yeah, it is there. Yeah, it is there.
Okay. Okay.
It is there.
We also have what we call maintenance types or maintenance strategies. Some will go for condition-based, and other will go for time-based or predetermined. And in this picture, I have deployed a number of the metrics and indicators to the various maintenance strategies and maintenance types. And I have picked the American metrics, and I have picked the indicators from 15341. And that is just to show that maintenance is rather uniform, and it's possible to measure the performance either by the American metrics or the European indicators, and they are to a large extent almost similar. This is also gives me a chance to say, when I'm asked what is a good value for condition-based maintenance or what is a good value for predetermined maintenance, this is the right answer to that question is you should look not at one of the maintenance types, but you should look at the full picture, because what gives the impression of the performance is the mixture of these indicators measuring the various maintenance types or maintenance strategies. That is to say, there is a dependency between the various strategies for the maintenance types. In this case, I have picked some of the indicators for maintenance man hours, but I could also have picked some of the indicators for maintenance cost. And once again, both the American metrics and the European indicators have both can measure in either man hours or in costs. So that was the maintenance strategies, but we can also look at the maintenance processes, because what gives our performance is the maintenance processes. And the beauty about maintenance is that most of the processes in maintenance are identical, or what I call generical. In this case, I have picked the spare part management process, and that consists of a number of sub-processes. We need to determine what spare parts should be in stock in SPP1, and in SPP9 we are supposed to deliver spare parts for the maintenance business, and then we have to reorder, and we have to put the reordered parts on stock. This process would be quite similar to the entire process each of the delegates has in their organization. Not exactly like this, but we all have a process where we determine what should be in stock, we deliver spare parts, and we reorder spare parts. And since we have a similar process, we are able to measure the process by a number of generic indicators. We could, for instance, measure inventory turnover, stock value as a percentage of plant replacement value, and we can measure the storeroom success rate, which is an expression how successful the spare part system is to meet the requirements from the maintenance when they are asked for spare parts. This process is from the document GLOMI, which will be published later this year. And this is one process, and I will there will also be another generic process, being the planning and scheduling process. So leaving the process, I will go to the management system for a company or a maintenance organization. We have the maintenance policy, we have the strategies, the objectives, and the methods and activities, being the work orders. And we can measure on the various strategies, once again, to see if we are developing according to what we have decided. And these indicators would be similar to what we call success criteria if we are doing project management. I have picked an example from a company, and that particular company have a strategy to improve the planning and scheduling. They have done it because they want to meet a number of business objectives, such as more efficiency, improve safety performance, and to reduce the work order backlog. So the strategy is improve planning and scheduling, and we are measuring it by a number of indicators, and they will tell us how good we are in doing this strategy improvement. And that could be by the actual man hours to do the work compared to the planned man hours. We could look at rework, which is a expression of how frequent we need to visit a completed work order. That is, in other words, a quality issue. And we can also look at schedule compliance. Are we able to meet the delivery time for our maintenance service at the decided or the scheduled time? This is only a part of the indicators which were used for that process. Just to give you an impression that when we can also use the indicators for more or less the some of the activities we have, the initiatives when we want to develop our performance, in this case, planning and scheduling. Instead of, as an alternative to identify your own indicators, and benchmarks, there is a number of options available for you in the market. I have mentioned the European standard EN 15341, which comprises 179 predefined indicators. Our friends in North America have what they call metrics, similar to indicators, and I think we are about 60 predefined indicators. GLOMI, which is the part of the American and the European indicators which are common, have also contains these indicators. ISO 14224 has a number of indicators. Right from the top of my head, I think we are in the range of 15. And outside the maintenance business, there will be facility management, which also have a number of indicators. Some of the business sectors, for instance, the power industry, the refinery industry, do have some business sector specific indicators, which is tailor-made for their particular industry. Some of these have either benchmarks or what they call best-in-class values, which is recommended values for each of the indicators. Benchmark, which is a documented best-in-class value, while the best-in-class values are a range, normally a range. It could also be a specific value. And moving outside the maintenance and operation, we have our cousins in the facility management societies. They have also cost for square feet or square meter for facilities. Transportation, such as the airports, have references for passenger costs. And moving on to the healthcare business, they have a number of indicators such as price for a hospital bed and so on. So most of the indicators and also some of the best-in-class values are available in the market, either in the maintenance domain or in the facility management domain. So they are more or less ready, waiting to be used. So the next part of my presentation is the where they have the biggest impact of our benchmarking. That is where we find a gap, an opportunity gap. An opportunity gap is a difference between my performance in my company and what is considered to be a benchmark or the best value. In this case, I have looked at a production line at the artificial company Hellebeck site, and they have an availability performance of 93.5%. And they have participated in a benchmarking study, and their process units has compared process units which have been compared to the Hellebeck site has an availability of 98%. So there is a difference between my production line at Hellebeck and the benchmarks in this particular study. So that difference is now expressed in a percentage, and it doesn't say me anymore, but there are some rules of experience where you are able to convert that opportunity gap from percentages into financial terms. And having that gap will help me to prioritize my improvement and launch activities, tasks, which will help me to get into the same level as the best ones in that particular study, being 98%. So, and this is an example where the beauty of benchmarking, where I can quantify and identify the gaps from my side to my competitors or my peers, which is a peer is somebody who is similar to me, I mean same process type, same industry, same operation terms. Yes. that will help me also to move on to why we should use these indicators. First of all, I think this is a possibility for the maintenance management to buy, to get, in fact, to get some peace, because we are able to document to the management that we are performing more or less to what is the market average or the industrial average. Basically, we are competitive. This will also help us, as we did with the case before, help us to identify areas for improvement, the gaps against peers, gaps against the best performers, and most of all, not only to compare, but to get the activities launched which helps us to capture the gaps. Participating in a study and quantifying the gaps without any activities, that's not the right way to do it. We also need to celebrate where we have successes. Regardless of our performance, there will definitely be areas where we are better than the average, and that will help the maintenance organization to celebrate the successes and get some appraisal to the organization. This is also, in some cases, a challenge to the organization, meaning, are we convinced that we are performing that as good as we are saying, or as bad as the numbers tells us? So this will break the inertia in a organization. We can also go beyond the numbers and learn from our competitors or peers what are the techniques and methods they are using to get to their best practices, to get to their excellent performance. And last, this is a language which is understood by the management. They don't understand maintenance, preventive or condition-based, but they know the indicators. And to visualize the beauty about this, this is the last slide, where the benchmarking effort will help us to expose some part of the hidden plant, the unused potential, by reducing some of the losses that could be downtime or process losses, whatever it is, which helps us to get more money out of our facilities, being a production plant or a facility. So that is the end of my presentation, and you are more than welcome to send questions and contact me in case you would like to know more besides this presentation. So I think I would say thank you. Thank you for the organizers.
Tom. Thank you so very much. Actually, thanks a lot for sticking just right on time.
Yeah.
And I think I have some questions that we received some questions. But I'll keep it till we finish the second presentation.
Okay.
We have hopefully Mr. Ali will also lead
I'll
us
be
some
fast,
time.
inshallah. I'll be fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome. Ali is for in the Middle East, on the area. He doesn't need any presentation. He's one of the leaders of the facility management. His achievement, Global Village and Burj Khalifa, and in Mafma is really remarkable. He's very active, very enthusiastic, and very professional. And he's always sticks to the time in everything he does. So you have sharply 20 minutes. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mufid, and I really enjoyed as well the presentation of Mr. Tom, Engineer Tom, It's really amazing. I'm going to go quickly. I have a responsibility to finish in 20 minutes. I hope everybody sees the presentation by now.
Yes,
Mr.
it's over there. Yeah, it's okay.
So if maybe the other speaker can mute, and I will start, inshallah. I chose this topic to go a little bit zoom out. I like what Engineer Tom has says about, KPI and SLAs, and it is very important to drive it down to the equipment and the task we do. But it's also important to look at the, the bigger picture. So thank you for the introduction, Professor Mufid, and I don't need to talk more. This is where I work, and I'm really proud that I am trying my best as a Chief Operating Officer to implement what I always say in a best practice in facility management and operation management in this place. And hopefully we are back to operation in November, and we welcome Engineer Tom and everybody. I can see that there is audience from South America, from Europe, from Africa, from Asia. It's really amazing, and thank you for the opportunity given. Now, to talk more about, my presentation is more about the strategy and having effective strategy that can be used, especially in today's challenge. We have a big challenge today, and we really it's really not easy, especially the first 2 months, because you cannot see your enemy. You don't know a lot about your enemy, which is this virus, and it disturbs the businesses, among other things. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about a strategy, and it's really important for us to have a strategy, even in such a challenging time. Strategy can, evolve and can be revised and can have different implementation tactics to help in achieving the overall mission and objective of the organization. So let's talk a little bit about an introduction to setting the strategy. And I wanted here to share with you the latest objective of facility management, and especially, of course, operation management. Of course, we're working in an organization as a facility manager or operation expertise to integrate people, place, and process within the built environment for the purpose of the quality of the life of the people and the productivity of the core business. And I like this, definition, and I feel it's important to focus on the quality of the life of the people. When we say people, it's not just the customer, it's everybody in the equation. And going further, I think it's important when we set up a strategy to look at short, medium, and long-term goals. And I think this is an important slide that we need also to educate our top management, that we are not here just to think about short and medium term. We're there to think about, all the different, time frames, short, medium, and long term. And this is where we have to always have the life cycle approach to our strategy when we operate a facility and try to enhance the, the facility's performance, look at continuous improvement, look at customer service, looking at, different factors. We need to look at the life cycle of the assets. And this is where it all goes to. And this is something that we have done over the years, that these are the main component for the FM and operational quality. So you need to make sure that you have, as we say, the SLAs and KPIs done in a nice way that reflect the condition of the asset, and there is an aim to have a continuous improvement and enhancement of performance. Very important today is the health and safety. And again, I've been in some period of my life as a health and safety advisor and superintendent. The ownership of health and safety is not yours. It's everybody's responsibility. So we have to build a culture around health and safety. Documentation is a very important part of the strategy. Sustainability is a result of your strategy, and it is one of the pillars. And of course, engaging management, being the client and the service provider, is important, especially now, especially during this challenging time. Please don't hide anything, create transparency, and let's solve the problem together. So how to develop a strategy strategy, it's easy. Now, you know, everybody's talking about what can I do in-house, what can I do outsource. A lot of facility management and operation and maintenance company says, let's do infections in-house. It's a business, let's go for it. But of course, when you decide, you have to always look at the 5 quality of delivering this in-house or outsourced and how can it be maintained. Now, this is how you set up a strategy. You have to look at the different pillars, the employee, the competency, the technology. You have to look at the financials. And I like cost per square foot because this is what Engineer Tom was talking about. And of course, you have to talk about the process and the consumer point of view. And that is very important when you go and set up a strategy, especially when you operate a multi-used building or development. And again, especially now, you need to look at the KRA, which is the key result area. How can you achieve what is the organization is aiming to achieve? And I think doing an internal analysis and external analysis and trying to, you know, put the right objectives and mission, which is driven ultimately from the organization objectives. This is where you go through the different stages of developing a strategy. You make the strategy, you intend and adapt the strategy. And of course, the third one is to making the strategy tasks. And this is where it is important to engage everybody in the strategy making. You need to really do the SWOT analysis, understand weaknesses and strengths, and help to really to develop the right operational strategy, among other things to do. So again, you need to always go and look at the values of the company, the customers, the employee, and drive you know, the strategy's objective. And this is how we can always make sure that we are building the right strategy and engaging people through the right communication strategy as well. Now, implementing of the strategy. Now, this is where all the discussion are around what I want to do. The client sitting in the top, you need to engage the client when you operate his facility in the strategic level decisions. You need to make sure he understands what are the challenges of managing his building, what are the behavior of the users of the building. And this is where when you operate a building, it's not just about operating equipment, it's about operating an environment and ensuring that the people within this facility helps you. So we go further into this discussion and you can see that a lot of people try to outsource 100%, but even if you have a managing agent and doesn't understand your operational and strategic management objectives, it's going to be a big gap for you. So you can always look at the different levels. I am sure there is sometimes an overlap between the service provider and an owner representative. If you want to avoid that, you have to have a clarity on the strategy, implementation, and task assigned to the different teams from the owner side and the service provider side. And again, when you have a strategy, you have to look at the different layers. You can see that you start with the value, move to the policies and goals, and finally you go to the tactics and plan. And of course, during COVID-19, I really urge all the operations and maintenance companies to plan for reopening. Don't wait for the client to come and tell you, we're gonna reopen. Be ready for reopening. We are, for example, Global Village, we are going on 100% occupancy in our facilities next Sunday. So we have a task force working with our service provider to have the right plans and to be ready and engaging even the users of the building. Again, when you implement a strategy, you need to look at, you know, the reputation, the expertise, the execution part, the audit part, the integration, which is really very important, and the brand equity. And that is very important. You have to ensure that you look at the holistic operational aspect of operating your facility and implementing the strategy. And when you do the analysis, again, KPIs and SLAs are important, but also look at the life cycle costing, improve the quality through integrated FM, provide accurate asset record to ensure reliability and system availability. Now, technology, now it is really important. And there is a lot of technology provider who would love to talk to us and give us something to look at our you know, resources efficiency, look at availability, and it's not really expensive. We should not really go for closed systems. We should go for IoT systems that really are available, and you can enhance your monitoring of your systems by having sensors of pre-alarms, and that is very important. So it's important to look while you are implementing your strategy, what is your business intelligence, what kind of dashboard you need for the different levels of teams and management. Again, this is an important driver, an important element of any FM setup and operation setup is you need to have a system, you need to have a process, and you need to have a structure. And you can see one of the most important thing is risk management and business continuity. And it's gonna really be important because today we need to help our clients to manage their risk and business continuity within their facilities. And of course, if you have a CAFM system, it can really help you to put the right business process into place and automate the same. Going into the discussion again, we always focus on SLAs and KPI, and we forget that without standard operating procedures in the middle, you really gonna have a gap. And this is where I urge everybody, when they set up a contract and do nice SLAs, they have to understand the condition of the assets, and they have to have a reference standard operating procedure. And hopefully by this, you're gonna have a target to achieve continuous improvement. And that is what we are aiming for, continuous improvement while we are operating our asset and understanding more about their limitations. Of course, we need to have an integrated operation, and being in the market for the last 25 years, I think operation, we always focus in maintenance and we forget operations. Operation is an integrated element that you need to improve. I can say it will help you to do a better maintenance if you do better operation, because sometimes you have equipment available for and the building is empty. So the right operation, understanding the guest behavior, understanding the demand can always help you to have the right FM maintenance aspect. So, and again, to achieve FM service excellence, we need to have not just efficiency, we have to have effectiveness. We need to set up priorities and needs. We need to know what we are delivering and how we choose to deliver it. And I am always challenging my team that you should not continue to deliver in the same way. You have to challenge yourself and look at different way of delivering a service. How we are doing that is very important. And I always say today, the service provider and how they are operating their building, how they are operating their accommodation, the welfare of their employee will impact the customer. So it's important for even service providers to have the right operational strategy for their companies, because today we would like to know how the staff welfare is taken care of, because if they get sick, it's gonna impact the business as well. So I think the integration between the service provider operation and client operation is becoming more critical today. Again, as I said, technology is important. Creating the right dashboard is important. We need to look at energy management, operation management, space management all together. Today with the social distancing, I don't think we can afford to hire more space, but we have to be effective in our space management. And normally nobody has a space management strategy. You need to talk to the users and create something that will help you to optimize space management. And of course, creating the right dashboard. And of course, the aim is lower cost of energy, improved operation efficiency, greater equipment and safety satisfaction, higher utilization, and of course, improve revenue performance. And this is something that I visited a long time ago in US, where the government of one of the state of Missouri, having 3,000 buildings connected here, and they look at the different maintenance, energy, dashboard, and the aim is always to bring down overall cost, total cost of ownership, rather than cutting on maintenance and forgetting that this will kill you in the CapEx replacement plan. So this is very important, and I think command controls, monitoring will be more critical at this stage. We cannot have people everywhere. We need to have smart monitoring of our operation. People talk about different things, bundle services, total facility management, and integrated facility management. And I have to say that the end product has to be one. We have to have happy, productive people. We have to have optimized, sustainable place. We have to have proven, efficient process. We have to have adaptive, scalable technology, and technology is a critical component. And this is where I'm reaching to my last, slide, saying that whatever strategy you have, you're gonna find out that the objective is really transformation and enhancing livability, enhancing workability, and enhanced sustainability. And this is the aim for setting any effective operational management strategy. And of course, this is my famous last slide saying sustainability is not an added cost, it's a clever living. Thank you very much. And I give you a few more minutes, Dr. Mufid.
Yes, well, thank you. All right, that's very, very thoughtful and right to the point. And I like your last slide. Really, it's what we are all working for and trying hard to reach. I have a few minutes, and if you allow me, I'll have some questions from the attendees, and I'll start with, since you are here already, to Mr. Ali. Ahmed Al-Mari is asking, in terms of theme park, do you prefer IFM model or TFM model?
Of course, now it's all about in-house and outsource. And thank you for the question, Mr. Ahmed Al-Mari. I think it's a hybrid model where the ownership has to stay with a team that's gonna be there. So I think total facility management, where the integrated element has to be with the owner representative, because he's gonna interact with his partners and his guests. So I think it's a total facility management model rather than an integrated, because an integrated, you just give all full control on the service provider.
Okay, another question for you also before we pass to Tom, from Sir Omar Al-Halli. He wants an example. He's asking an example of technology as a very effective tool to implement effective operation management strategy. Can you give us?
Oh, I have so much example, but I'll give one. One of the operation company or facility management company in Dubai has created a watch which costs 100 dirham. This watch is given to all their employees. Now they created geofence around their customers, and there is no need for paper attendance or biometrics. Nothing. It's just the watch that will, once you go into that geographical fence boundary, you will inform your customer that you have 100 cleaner already on site. So this is a clear example of reducing administrative cost using technology to the advantage of the customer and the service provider. There is more into looking at equipment and availability of the technician around this equipment. You can always create an app, and there is a lot in the market with very minimum financial cost, I can say. You can set up an app where you can track equipment and people availability within that geofencing area or the contract that you are, or the operation that you're managing. So I hope this is an example. I can give more, but I think this is sufficient for now.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I will pass a question to Tom. Yes, from Mr. Eduardo Calixto. He's asking, well, he's thanking you for the presentation. I would like to ask about the link between the verification and control indicators in different organization levels. For example, in your example, the maintenance indicators are control indicators for the maintenance team in the bottom level. However, in the highest level, these indicators need to have a link with the other indicators such as global asset? Yep.
Oh, thanks for the question. I think I understand the question, but there is a hierarchy in these indicators. Some are used by the top levels, or say maybe on corporate level. Either are made on department level, and some are used on the floor shop level. And I think it's normally there is each indicator are used, but I have also seen that even though we have defined that this should be used on floor shop level, this should be on higher level or even on corporate level, different organizations tend to use these indicators as they feel is appropriate for their business. And I've seen some of them simply turn the way the indicators were supposed to be used upside down. So I would rather to the best of my knowledge, the questions is that's depending on the business needs from the companies, even though some are designed to be on a different level. So I can't come up with any clear or better response to your kind questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Just one last question. I think we've is there a case study of an organization where a successful benchmarking was achieved?
Yes.
This is from Engineer Rami. He has another question. One of the participants, he answered him. I have some more questions, but I'll send it to you later, I think.
Okay. Yes. Thanks for the question, and I'm glad for it because we have a case study from a facility management organization, and they claimed that the benchmarking study had, and of course the actions taken from the benchmarking study, they gave them an improvement on cost and performance, and particularly the cost was reduced by approximately 10%, but for the same service. So thank you. So there was an example from a result from a facility management.
Yes, that's I think. Let me go to Tom again. How many indicators is suggested to be implemented for a proper benchmarking?
For a proper benchmarking, I think we would be in the area of 20 or so indicators.
Okay.
But that is for the numbers to produce results for a proper study. But if you're going to have an ongoing system of indicators to use internally, I will go for a slightly lower value, rather 3 or 5 as a concurrent reporting to the business.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. There's another question, and I can't. I think Mr. Ali, do you believe it is a disadvantage for business to delay reopening during the COVID-19 epidemic?
Well, it depends on. I think this is something that falls under the health authority and the government to take that decision. You have to be ready. You cannot put a scenario of expecting a delay or recommending a delay. You should, as operation in charge of any facilities, you have to be ready always for the opening, even with the 24-hour notice. You have to be ready. You have to make your people aware that it's a mission that we support our guests and support in this challenging situation. So I don't think delaying is something that I can recommend.
There is also.
I think we are. Dr.
Yeah, timing is finishing. Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. We had lots of questions. We have some more questions. I think we will have them sorted out. I will and send it to you to reply. And then send it back to concern. I would like to thank our speakers for such a professional presentation.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
and
خلاص.